Hello, today we're going to attempt to put a Gotek USB floppy disk emulator into our Kurzweil K2000. I currently have a floppy in there that is working right now. I just tested it, so we're going to go through and see what happens. First thing that we're going to do is take the unit apart, and we'll get going right now. Okay, so I have flipped the unit over now, of course powered it off. There are 6 screws you need to remove. One here, one here, here, and here, and down on the opposite corners as well. So after that is done, we're going to flip the unit over and flip the top cover off. Okay, so I have removed all of the screws on the back of the unit, and I'm now going to lay it on its back, of course, and very, very, very carefully we are going to lift the top off. You have to be very careful here. I've had bad experiences personally with this. You can break a capacitor, lots of things can go wrong, so just go very slowly and be very gentle, and do not try to force anything. And yeah, just take it slow. Okay, so we have flipped the back off. You can see it now exposed. There, we got our circuit board, and here's our floppy disk here. We're going to take that out in a bit. There are 6 screws that hold the floppy drive in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a power supply here and the ribbon connector here, which we are going to remove as well. Okay, so we have the floppy disk unit out now, and we're going to try to put the emulator in. There's something I read on a blog post saying we have to put the jumpers in the MO, which is down at the bottom, and JA positions, which are second from the top. Okay, so we're going to have to change the screws because the Gotek USB emulator has these small black ones, and the ones that come out of the regular K2000 box are the large steel screws. So we got to put 6 of these guys in, and we'll come back in a bit. You can get. Okay, so we have the emulator in, the 4 screws. I've got the ribbon cable hooked up as well as the power, and now we're going to gently, again, lift the top back onto the unit. And something's caught there. There we go. And, okay, come on over here, and we can see that we have power into our emulator. And now we're going to take a look at how to transfer the files from our floppy disks onto a USB stick so we can load them into the emulator. Okay, so we are now into the part where we're going to try to install the software which we are going to need to transfer any files from the PC to the USB. So the Gotek floppy does come with some really bad software. So another tutorial on YouTube showed me how to use this software from IPCAS, and I will try to put the URL to that download along with the description of the video. So we are just going to install that software, which is very straightforward. We're going to select version 1.0 or 1.4.0. We're going to run it right from here. We are going to select English. Of course, it's very standard setup. It does ask you for one question a little bit later. And sure, that's fine. And we are done. So we're going to come back in a minute when we run that software. Okay, so to transfer the sounds, we are going to need to get our patches off of our floppy drive. I've got a KRZ file on my A drive right now. I've just put it onto my hard drive over here in drive D. This is a very old XP machine that I actually had to revive from the ready-to-be recycled PCs because it has a 3.5-inch floppy drive and a USB in it, which I don't have on mine right now. You can get emulators online or a USB floppy drive adapter, but this was just easier, and it is old XP. I know there's lots of security issues there, but either way, we have our file now, and we want to transfer it onto the USB. So to do that, we are going to run the USB floppy manager, which is, now that we've installed it, should be under IPCAS GmbH, USB Emulator, and USB floppy manager. So it's recognized the USB that I've put in there, and we're going to format that to hold 100 units on there. So we're going to format, and we're going to select the default 1.44 meg, and we're going to format the drive. And yes, I don't need anything on there. Look at that. And we'll come back in a minute when it's done, and we will transfer the files onto the USB. Okay, so to get the image to write, we just double click on one of the image files that's created on our USB. You can double click and it will open it, and we are now going to drag our patches in. I'm just going to open up another Explorer here, and we'll go to where my Kurzweil patches are, and we're going to drag that in. And now we've got it on our floppy 000. We're going to close it. We're going to right click and choose Save. And now when you open it, you should see we have our file there. We have just written our floppy, and we should be able to load it into the Kurzweil now. You can also do that. Remember, each of these numbered items in the column are an individual floppy drive. So that was almost a complete 1.44 on there. So we're going to leave that one as it is. That'll be my first disk. Okay, so we are back. We've got the USB into the Gotek now, and I found a little glitch here, and I don't know if it's the way that I've configured it, but I did find a workaround. So you know, so we're gonna try to load this. So what we want to do is select which bank we want to load. Here I've selected bank 0, which I have some, I think, default Kurzweil sounds on there, which I transferred over earlier. We're going to exit out of here, and I'll show you the little glitch and how I worked around it. When we press the disk button, of course, to load our disk, we're going to get our standard menu. But when I selected to load from the floppy, it gave me this message: please insert a disk. So I'm going to select OK, even though it's not OK. And what I had to do was, when I selected load, I had to just unplug the USB, and then when I selected load, plug the USB in, and then it would work. So let's see if that works. And we're going to plug it in, and now I've got my file to load. And when I did this as well, before I loaded, you're going to select the bank, of course, and we're going to put this into bank 600 or something. So we're going to select bank 600. Now, before I hit OK, I'm going to again just loosely unplug the USB from there, select OK, and then plug it in again after I select OK. And I did that, and oops, I have to go fill. And then I plug it in, and now it is reading the files. When I didn't do the unplug and plug in, it gave me an error saying please insert disk. So there may be a workaround there, but this is good enough for me to get going, and hopefully that workaround is good enough for you as well. If anybody knows how to correct that issue, I would be more than happy to learn how to do it. Okay, so we're going to let that load, and I think we're done.